Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
We're continuing to talk about bullying in today's program. And some of you listening out there are probably suffering from bullying maybe at this very moment. The statistics do point that out. So our hearts go out to you out there if you are the victim of bullying. And, of course, we're trying to make everyone else aware that this is a real problem that will scar you for life. So if you are a bully or if you are treating people, other people badly, think about the consequences of your actions. And maybe later in life, think about apologizing to your victims.
Oh, that would be a good thing to do, to go back and apologize for hurting someone when you were in junior high or high school. Yeah, so we're going to continue talking about this, how to survive childhood bullying. It's actually harder than it looks. In day one, we told you about a scientist who had done a lot of studying of this, and he found almost 30% of the people in high school and junior high that he had studied had experienced childhood bullying. Now, some people, they experience very little bullying. I really didn't have to deal with that at all. I'm very grateful. And then others were scared to death by someone who just went after them and attacked them. I know we all have had bullies in all of our schools. They're usually the biggest guy or the meanest girl. She may not be big, but the one we had was just mean. So I know that we all understand what this is, but what we're trying to do in these 2 days talking about this issue, this disorder, is that it affects people long after they've grown up and they're adults. So let's get started. It's day 2 right now. Tom's going to read, and then we'll be back.
The mistaken belief that we grow out of childhood bullying experiences can cause people harm, especially if this expectation keeps people from getting the appropriate treatment. One way of working to prevent this is to recognize the signs of childhood bullying early on. Major personality changes, such as an outgoing child suddenly isolating themselves, are something to look for. Depression and anxiety, especially if they weren't present before, are important indications too. Physical symptoms may also occur. Look for shifts in appetite, dramatic weight changes, and sleep issues. A seeming increase in illnesses that might prevent the child from attending school or events is something to watch out for too. Confronting bullying early on is important, but when it has already led to PTSD, treatment methods are available. Talk therapy is a healthy way of releasing difficult emotions, and it also allows for an opportunity to learn positive coping skills. Specialized therapies, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, can train people to think and act differently to perceived threats. This is helpful for those who experience panic attacks, flashbacks, and nightmares. Medication is also useful in treating the severe depression and anxiety that may happen alongside PTSD. Ultimately, however, the goal should be to address bullying's root causes. Working with the bully and their parents to understand the behavior and find feasible solutions for preventing it is vital. When parents, teachers, therapists, and other adults unite to create a sense of well-being in children, whether bullies or victims of bullying, we may finally see an end to the trauma that bullying can cause.
Let's get started, guys. This is day 2. The first sentence says the mistaken belief that we grow out of childhood bullying experiences can cause people harm. That's just the first part of the sentence. So it's a mistaken belief. People believe it, but they're wrong. They shouldn't believe that. Some people just have the wrong information or the wrong idea about something. The mistaken belief. Yeah, a lot of people think, you just grow out of it. It happened to you as a kid. it's gone. You're an adult now. Act like an adult. When you grow out of something, it just means because years have gone by, you're no longer a child, you don't have to experience the same sort of childish things. Let me give you an example. A lot of kids, not a lot, a good amount of kids, they will wet the bed when they're younger. Maybe they're afraid to get up in the middle of the night. And so in the morning, you'll find that they've wet the bed. 尿床, huh? So you usually grow out of that. It's very rare that they have to go and see, a therapist about it. But you grow out of it. You become less afraid to get up and go to the bathroom. Or maybe you can just control your body a little better. That happens as well. There are a lot of things we do grow out of, but this isn't one of them. A lot of people think that that's the case or that's true, but it's not. So a lot of people continue to believe that. But these childhood bullying experiences can continue to cause people harm long after they're grown, especially if this expectation, this thing that, you should be over this by now, that's the expectation that keeps people from getting the appropriate treatment. Everybody keeps telling them, you'll just grow out of it. You don't need to go see a doctor. Why are you making this such a big deal? So appropriate is the suitable treatment, the right treatment, the kind of treatment that will help you move on and get better, about the bullying.
Yep, you kind of have to admit it to yourself that it is affecting you and that you need to seek treatment. And yeah, maybe some people do grow out of this. Maybe they do forget about it. Maybe they're not too worried about it. But a lot of people can't. And it's with them for the rest of their lives. And you cannot expect the bully from the past to suddenly appear on Facebook and say, I'm so sorry for what I did. That ain't going to happen, folks.
No.
So indeed, you probably will have to seek out the appropriate treatments. Appropriate, of course, means suitable, what you need, the right kind of treatment. It could be psychotherapy or counseling or medication, who knows, but you need to talk to somebody about that. And one way of working to prevent this is to recognize the signs of childhood bullying early on. So now we're going back to actually when you are a kid, and if you are parents or teachers, we're going to talk about some things that you might want to look out for as an indication that someone is being bullied.
Right. You'll want to keep your eyes peeled for that. P-E-E-L-E-D, peeled. Keep your eyes peeled, not your eyeballs peeled. Someone said that the other day, and I was like, ooh, that's gross. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes open for something. Be on the lookout. So major personality changes can happen. Maybe you've had a really happy, outgoing child in your class, and suddenly they don't want to play with other kids. They stay in the classroom when it's time to go outside for PE and play. They suddenly isolate themselves. To isolate yourself just means you take yourself out of social situations. You just want to be alone all the time. This isn't just bullying. This could be sexual abuse as well. We find this is also true. Kids will tell you something's wrong if you watch them. Their personality will often change this way. It may not be that they isolate themselves. It may be that they, used to be shy. Now they're really outgoing. Just look for really strange changes in them. These are things to look out for. Depression and anxiety, especially if they weren't present before. Yeah, if they had never been depressed in the past and suddenly they seem to be depressed and very nervous, anxious all the time. Those are some things you need to be looking for. These are important indications. An indication is a sign that something is there, something is happening.
Right, changes in behavior and stuff like that. Maybe the kids start smoking or something, or hanging out with the wrong crowd, drinking alcohol or something like that. It could be indicative of some sort of problem, and bullying could be one of those problems. And physical symptoms may also occur. So we're talking about emotional or personality symptoms. like changes in personality and stuff like that. But now we're also talking about physical symptoms, things that have to do with the body itself. Look for shifts in appetite, dramatic weight changes, and sleep issues. So yeah, are they eating their meals now, or are they refusing to eat, or maybe they're eating too much? That's a shift in your appetite. And you might have dramatic weight changes. The kid gets really skinny or really fat, and also some sleep issues. The kid is staying up till 2 playing video games and having difficulty waking up in the morning or something like that.
Right. Or they're sleeping too much and they just never want to get up out of bed. That's a sure sign of depression. Now, a seeming increase in illnesses, you see that they're sick more often. That these illnesses might prevent the child from attending school or other events is something to watch out for too. You can always tell if a child doesn't like school or doesn't like his teacher or maybe is experiencing something like bullying because they will suddenly have a tummy ache or their head hurts or, they feel like they have a cold and they don't want to go. But you as a parent, if you're listening as a parent, you might see that they look fine. You might want to look around. There's some other reasons behind them not wanting to go to school. So, yeah, there are a lot of things that we know about now because of all the studies and the research that have been done. If you are looking for the signs, you're sure to find them. I just think sometimes families get too busy and parents forget to pay enough attention. It helps if you get off Facebook and your phones so much and pay attention to the kids. That'll help a lot.
Yeah, there's, of course, also the problem of when the kid actually tells you who's causing the problem, and then you go talk to that kid's parents. Of course, they will be in denial. Oh, my kid would never do that. You're obviously making a big deal out of that. You're exaggerating.
Well, sometimes the parents are good, though. Every once in a while, I'm like, yeah, good.
There is the possibility that they will be in denial, though. But, yeah, these are all things that we're not experts on, but, of course, we're just giving you some information through this article here. And that wraps up our discussion on trying to identify bullying when it's happening when your children are still young. But now we're going to talk about what happens later on in life when they're still suffering from the consequences of childhood bullying. That's our second part. We'll get there in just a second, but right now we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
大家好，我是派老师。今天讲解的是8月份 Unit7 Surviving Childhood Bullying is Harder Than It Looks 这个单元所谈的主题是 Bullying 霸凌。今天是第2天的课程，第2天课文第一段告诉我们，避免霸凌造成的 PTSD 应该防患未然，最好在童年霸凌事件发生时就及时阻止霸凌持续发生。第2段里面告诉我们如何判断儿童是否受到霸凌，总共有4点。第一 ，Major personality changes 重大个性改变。第2 ，Depression and anxiety 忧郁与焦虑。第3 ，Physical symptoms such as shifts in appetite, dramatic weight changes, and sleep issues 生理症状，例如胃口改变、体重骤变、睡眠问题等。第4A drop in attendance due to increase in illnesses 因为生病频率增加而导致出席率下降。好，我们一起来看一下后面2段的重要句型单字和片语。在第1段里面，请同学看到 the mistaken belief 一直到后面的 appropriate treatment， 请同学特别注意 grow out of 这个片语。grow out of 意思指的就是长大了就好了，所以有一个错误的观念，认为小时候受到霸凌，长大就好了。这样子的错误想法呢 can cause people harm 会伤害人的，会造成伤害的。好，接下来请看到第2个句子 One way of working to prevent this is to recognize the signs 请同学把 recognize the signs 画起来，及早辨识出童年霸凌的征兆，辨识征兆。好，我们看到第2段，请同学看到 major personality changes 一直到 look for 这个句子，中间呢有一个形容词 outgoing child， 这里是在指小孩子他的个性改变，原本是很 outgoing 外向的，请同学写上一个同义词叫 extroverted EXTRO verted。好的，接着呢，请同学看到第3个句子，有讲到 look for shift in appetite， 就是胃口改变了。还有呢，体重突然间的变化 dramatic weight changes。好，接下来请看到第4个句子，有个动词片语，请同学特别注意，就是在后面的something to watch out for。Watch out for 就是我们要特别注意当心的事情。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. It's day 2. We're talking about childhood bullying and how surviving it can be harder than it seems or harder than it looks. So we talked about how there's this mistaken belief that, well, we all grow out of childhood bullying if we've experienced as a kid. As we get older, it no longer hurts us, it doesn't hold us back. But this isn't the case. Some of the people who experience bad childhood bullying really do need to get the appropriate treatment in order to move on and to keep progressing and growing as an adult. So one way of working to prevent this, you want to prevent people from ignoring the problem, that's what we're saying, is you need to recognize the signs of childhood bullying early on.
So that's why we begin the 3rd paragraph by saying, confronting bullying early on is important, but when it has already led to PTSD, treatment methods are available. So yeah, if we can confront it early on, that's the best solution. Stop it in its tracks so that it can't do any more damage. But sometimes it might be just too late. Your kid has been damaged already, and they have already left high school, and they're in college, or they're working now, and they're still affected by that. So yes, indeed, if this situation has already led to PTSD, then treatment methods are available. You know, prevention is always better than cure. What is it? An ounce of prevention
is worth a pound of cure.
Is worth a pound of cure, indeed. That's the best advice, but sometimes it's just too late for that, so you're going to have to treat it later on.
Right. So there are different treatment methods available. This one here is called talk therapy. Of course, therapy is just a way to treat some sort of condition or to heal a disorder. Talk therapy sounds like you're talking to a therapist. A lot of people keep their emotions and their feelings bottled up inside, and that really hurts them. It can actually start affecting their bodies physically. A lot of people, ultimately get cancer because of stress or anxiety. So be careful with that, guys. Talk therapy. It's a healthy way of releasing difficult emotions. Some of these kids who then grow up to be adults can't express these things to their own family members or close friends. Just finding a good therapist that they feel like will listen to them and help them by giving them some good advice is a way to go. So that's talk therapy. It allows for an opportunity to learn positive coping skills. Remember, we talked about the negative coping skills like starting to drink alcohol, smoking, getting into really dangerous drugs, hanging out with the wrong kids, sometimes getting involved with a gang. These are all coping mechanisms to help you forget about the feelings that you have, probably the low self-esteem.
Right, those are negative coping skills, joining a gang or drinking booze and
they're
stuff
called mechanisms, though, if
mechanisms,
they're negative.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But we've got some positive coping mechanisms or positive coping skills here that you could learn later on. For example, specialized therapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy can train people to think and act differently to perceived threats. So these are therapies that are specialized, which means they're kind kind of tailored or designed especially for your individual situation there. So they're specialized. Lots of people specialize in various things. If they go to medical school, for example, they could be a general practitioner, but they could specialize in, say, ophthalmology or something like that.
Right. You can specialize in a lot of things if you're in an industry where there's a lot of choices. So specialized therapies, and here's one of them, cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive means of the mind. So kind of training people to think and act differently to what they see as a threat. Perceived threats just means that's how they view it. They become aware of something, they're conscious of it, perceive something. You may see a situation differently, right? So it's a way to interpret something. How to not only just how to respond, but to how to think about it is very important. Behavioral, though, relates to actions. So cognitive, thinking, behavioral actions. This is a type of therapy that is one of the positive coping skills we mentioned.
Right, and this is helpful for those who experience panic attacks, flashbacks, and nightmares.
Yeah.
These could be things that you suffer from. You might have these panic attacks. You get really scared if you think about something, or if you go back to a certain place and it reminds you of that. Or flashbacks, of course, a bad dream or something. That's a nightmare, of course, but flashbacks could be happening when you're conscious. It takes you back in time.
True.
Oh my goodness, this reminds me of the time I was on the playground and Big Mac came over and beat me up and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a flashback there. And medication is also useful in treating the severe depression and anxiety that may happen alongside PTSD. So medication, of course, is basically medicine that you might take. Your therapist may be able to prescribe some medication for you. It could help you if you suffer from severe depression, not just regular depression, but really, really bad depression, severe depression.
Ooh, that sounds pretty serious. Severe. Yeah, again, it's on that range or scale. Severe would be near 10. Mild would be down near 1 and 2, 1 or 2, severe. Here, you can also say, you can also use severe to talk about someone's personality. If a teacher has a very severe personality, they're pretty strict. Or someone has a severe hairstyle, it's pulled back, it looks like it hurts. You can use it that way too, but here just means something really bad, very intense in degree. Ultimately, this is the next paragraph. Ultimately, however, the goal, what's the goal? It should be to address or look at the bullying's root causes. Root causes are why it happened. So root causes are the reason behind the bullying. Working with the bully, that's the mean person, right? And their parents to understand the behavior and find feasible solutions for preventing it is vital. This, of course, is only possible if the child is currently being bullied. If it's someone who is 30 years old and was bullied when they were 10, this isn't a solution. So feasible is a great word. It just means it's possible to do it. It's easy, it's convenient, it's feasible. If something's pretty impossible, you would just say, well, that's not even feasible. Why are you suggesting that? It's not feasible to drive from one end of the United States to the other in one day. It's not possible. It's not feasible. So you're looking for solutions that actually are possible and that might help.
Indeed. So, yeah, of course, this is easier said than done to try to address bullying at the beginning, but that isn't always the case here.
Yeah.
And so you need to look for possible or feasible solutions for both preventing it and dealing with it after it's already happened. And when parents, teachers, therapists, and other adults unite to create a sense of well-being in children, whether bullies or victims of bullying, we may finally see an end to the trauma that bullying can cause. So yeah, if we get parents and teachers and parents of the bullies and parents of the victims all together, and they sit down and talk about it, and they work through their problems, well, maybe we will be able to create a sense of well-being in children. Not only the bullied, but the bullies themselves may feel better about themselves. I can't help but thinking that the reason bullies bully other people is because they've got their own kinds of problems.
They're unhappy for some reason. Yeah, we should help them too.
Indeed. And so hopefully someday this problem will come to an end. I'm kind of pessimistic about that, of course, but if we can lessen the effects of it, that would be better.
It sure would. So this is a great lesson. If any of you are struggling with this out there, whether you are being bullied or you found yourself bullying someone, you might rethink that. But get some help. Talk to your teachers, your parents if possible. Maybe they can get you some appropriate help. So we wish you all well. Right now, we're going to listen one more time to our Chinese teacher.
前面2段提到童年时期发生霸凌事件，最好及时处理，否则等到孩子长大成人后，可能会出现 PTSD。而第3段则告诉我们，万一真的因为童年的霸凌经验，而在往后人生经历 PTSD， 还是有治疗的方法。总共有3个，分别是 Talk Therapy 谈话治疗、Specialized Therapies such as Cognitive Behavioral Therapy 专业的治疗，比如说认知行为治疗 Medication 药物。在第4段就回归到一切的源头，追根究底的断除霸凌的现象，了解为什么孩子会去霸凌别人，找出可行的方法预防霸凌。好，我们一起来看一下最后2段的学习重点。第3段第1句，请看到 confronting bullying early on， 请同学把 confronting 这个动词画起来。confront 的意思就是遇到问题或困境，直接面对或处理。有一个呢片语是它的同义词，非常重要，请同学写下来 face up to。 接着请同学看到第2个句子，第2个句子最后面有一个 to learn positive coping skills。 那请同学把这个 coping skills 的 coping 画起来，它其实是来自于 cope with 这个动词片语。 cope with 就是处理应付。好的，那接下来我们请同学看到第4段。第4段的第1个句子 Ultimately, however, the goal should be to address bullying's root causes， 解决霸凌的根本原因。请同学把 address root causes 画起来，特别是这个 address。 这个 address 其实呢是解决的意思，像解决问题我们可以说 address a problem。 第2个句子，请同学看到 working with a bully 这个句子，那后面有一个 and find feasible solutions， 请同学特别把 feasible 画起来，找出可行的解决方案。 feasible 就是可行的。也有一个非常重要的同义词叫 viable， viable， 可行的。好，我们最后看到第3个句子， When parents, teachers, and other adults unite to create a sense of well-being in children， 请同学特别看到 well-being 这个字是幸福的意思。所以呢，爸妈还有老师还有其他的大人应该要一起为小孩子创造一种幸福感。 well-being 指的就是幸福感。以上是我们今天第2天课程的中文讲解，谢谢。
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.